Good afternoon, students. So we'll just begin today's class. So the agenda for today is how to interrupt a thread and how a thread will enter, that is re-enter into its own monitor. Okay, so these are the two topics that we are going to look into today. So before that, we will have a recap. So this recap is for all the thread concepts that we have seen so far. So in Java, multi-threading, a thread can be created by. So by which way you can create a thread? By extending the thread class or implementing the runnable interface, or by both or none of these. What is your answer? I'll just show the question again. In multi-threading, Java multi-threading, a thread can be created by which way? By extending the thread class or implementing runnable interface. Your answer. This is a basic question about how to create a thread. I suppose you should be knowing this. Without this, you cannot create anything in multi-threading. Why there is no answer? C. Okay. Any other answer? Other than Harshini, no one knows how to create a thread. This is very bad. Okay, the two ways to create the thread are by extending the thread and by implementing the runnable interface. So thread is a class and runnable is an interface. So to use a class, that is to extend a class, we will use the keyword extends, and to implement whatever is in an interface, we will have to use implements. So a class extends another class and a class implements an interface. So by implementing a runnable interface or by extending the thread class, we can create threads. So which method is called internally by the thread start method? So when you give your thread name dot start, which method is called internally automatically? Execute, run, launch, main. What is your answer? I'll just show the question again. Which method is called internally by thread start method? To be. Yes, run is the answer. So run is the method which is called automatically whenever a thread starts executing. So when a thread, you give thread name dot start. Okay, so once you call this method start, automatically your run method that is inside the class implementation will start executing it. What will be the number of threads that will be created for this program? So I am having a class which extends your thread class, and then I have the run method. So thread will start running. I am creating a thread for the class that I have already done. Then I'm just starting the thread. So how many threads will get created for this particular program? So 0, 1, 2 or 3. So make sure you answer with the question number. So this is third question. So how many threads will get created? B, okay. Others, how many threads will get created? B, C. So the answer is C, because main is itself a thread, because it is getting you consider your main as a thread. So your main is 1, thread that is automatically created every time you run your program. And secondly, I have created a user defined thread. So I'm just starting that thread. So you have two different threads that are being created by this Java code. So the answer is 2. So next one. So execution of a Java thread begins on which method call? Execution of a Java thread. Understand the question and then answer. Start, run, execute, launch. Execution of Java thread. When the thread will start its execution. Fourth question is what we are discussing. So when will a thread begin its execution? 4A. Okay. Okay, so yes, the answer is A. So your thread starts its execution when you call the method start, and it goes into the running state when you give the when you start the thread automatically it goes into the running state. So that is done automatically, but you need to start the thread. So the program, a thread execution starts when you call the method start. So how many ways a thread can be created in Java multi-threading? How many ways you can create a thread in Java? 5B. Okay, so this question you will be able to answer if you know the answer for the first question. So first question I asked how you can create a thread. So by extending the thread class and by implementing the runnable interface. So you have two different ways in which you can create your threads. So which statement is or correct? That is more than one statement can be correct in the given option. On calling a thread start method, a new thread gets created. Thread start method call run method internally. Thread run method can also be called directly to create the thread or all of the above. Read the question and then give me the answer. So more than one option can be correct. So choose the one which is perfect. This is the sixth question. 6A and B. Okay. So these are your options. Six D. I mean all of the above. Okay. But your answer is A and B because a thread cannot be run directly. That is, you cannot start the thread directly. You just put it into the execution state, and then your start method will only automatically call the that is start running your thread. So you cannot call the run method directly. Okay, by creating the thread. So your first step is you start the thread, automatically the run method gets invoked. So the first two options are correct. So next, if a priority of a Java thread is 3, then the default priority of its child thread will be what? 0, 1, 5, 3. If the priority of a Java thread is 3, then the default priority of its child thread will be what? This is the seventh question. What will be the default priority of its child thread? Question is 7. 7D. Yes, the answer is 3. So whatever is the priority of the parent thread, the same will be applicable for the child thread. So default value for every thread is 5, right? The default priority that we have for every thread is 5. But if you are creating a child thread, then it will acquire the priority of the parent thread. So next question, which method is used to get current running thread object? This we have been used so many times. Which method is used to get current running thread object? Eighth question. 8A. Okay, running thread. Any other answer? 8A. What about others? What is the answer? No, A is not your answer. The answer is B, current thread. So remember current thread dot get name. So it will return the name of the current thread. So current thread is the method that will give you, or it will return the thread that is in execution, the thread that is being run. And the last question, the life cycle of a thread in Java is controlled by whom? JRE, JDK, JVM. So who is having the control over the life cycle of the thread? That is, who will execute the thread? It's very simple. 9C. Yes, JVM. So your Java virtual machine will have the control over the life cycle of the thread. Okay, so that's all. That is a quick recap of all the tech concepts that we have seen. Then for the today, we have interrupt thread and re-entrant monitor. So first we'll see what is interrupt thread. So what is an interrupt? So interrupt is any kind of action that stops your current execution. Suppose if I am printing something, okay, and I have a problem that my operating system wants to reboot. So which will be given highest priority? The priority will be given for the rebooting. So your printer will have to halt itself. So your printer will be stopped. So any kind of action which makes your current execution to stop, we can call it as an interrupt. So a thread, when it is getting executed, if you want to stop the thread, then we have a technique to do that. Okay, so when a thread goes into the running state and it is in running mode, you can stop the thread. So how do we stop the thread? So an interrupt is an indication to a thread that it should stop what it is doing and do something else. So it will stop, the interrupt will stop the execution of the thread. So how we do the interrupt, how we have to suppose to do the interrupt, we have methods. So that methods we will see. So what is interrupting a thread? So if any thread, that is, you have three different ways in which you can interrupt a thread. If the thread is in sleeping mode or it is in the wake mode, okay, then we can interrupt the thread. Or if the thread is going into, if it is executing normally also, then we can interrupt the thread. That is, we can, if it is going into an infinite sleep, it is being waiting for a much longer time and it is not getting the notify method, because your inter-thread communication, we, whenever a thread goes into the wait state, it will have to be notified that it can start its execution. So if it is waiting infinitely, then we will have to interrupt that thread. Then we will have to stop the thread. So if the thread is sleeping or waiting, then your interrupt method is called on that thread to break the sleeping or waiting. So if a thread is not in the sleeping or waiting state, then that is what your second one I told you. If the thread is executing normally, then also we can interrupt the thread. So in that case, you will have an interrupt flag. Okay, an interrupt flag is have been set in your microprocessor. That flag will be set to true when you are interrupting a thread that is executing normally. That it is not in the sleep state or it is not in the wait state. So these are the two ways in which you can interrupt a thread. So one is interrupting a thread when it is in a sleep or a wait state for a longer time. And second one, when it is not in sleep or wait, it is in normal execution. If in that situation, if you stop the thread, if you interrupt the thread, then the thread flag, okay, interrupt flag will be set to true. Okay, so these are the three methods that we have so that your interrupt, that is your thread, is being stopped. So the first method is interrupt. So this method will stop the current thread execution. So next is interrupted. So if the thread is interrupted or not, you can be checking them by using these two methods. So you can check whether your thread is interrupted or whether it is being run. So if you need to check them, then you can use the second and third method. So if it is interrupted, what is to be done? So these are the three methods that we have. So this is an example to interrupt a thread that stops working. That is, it is not executing. It is in sleep state for a longer time. So this I will explain in NetBeans. Oh, sorry, Eclipse. So this is your first program. So here, just a minute, it is hanging on. Going into the sleep state and it is not executing anything. It is keep on sleeping for a longer time. So in that situation, we will have to interrupt the thread. So first, I have a main method. So in main method, what I do, I create a thread. So this thread is created here. So class thread extends your thread, and in the run method, I have made the thread to sleep. So after it is waking up, it has to do some work, and then if there is any kind of an exception occurring, then that will be caught. But what I do here is I just start the thread. Later on, I interrupt the thread. So the thread before it is waked up, okay, before the time is expiring itself, I am just interrupting the thread. So interrupt is the method that is used to interrupt the execution of the particular thread. So I just give thread dot interrupt, your thread name dot interrupt. So what will happen here is your thread will get start, then it will call the run method, then it will go on to sleep. So it is not executing anything. Your thread is not in the execution, it is in the sleep mode. So then if I try to interrupt, then the exception, whatever you have, interrupted exception, and this exception class will get called, and your exception will get executed, and your thread will stop the execution. So your thread will not continue its execution after that. I'll just run it and show you the output. So this is the one kind of creating your thread by extending your thread class. And the second one is you can create a thread by implementing the runnable interface. So here you can see that you have an exception. So what exception it is? It is sleep interrupted. So you can see here. So the sleep of that particular thread is interrupted. So this happens in your runtime exception class. So this interrupt will stop the execution of the particular thread. And the second one is you are stopping the execution, sorry, you are interrupting the thread, but the thread can continue its execution. So here what we do is same thing. I just start the thread, and then in the sleep, okay, after the sleep is done, then the thread is able to do its work. Okay, after the sleep is over, it is interrupted so that it doesn't execute this statement. Okay, so this statements will not get executed. So once it is interrupted, it will execute whatever it is supposed to execute. For example, this is a statement it is supposed to execute, right? Thread is running. So it will execute this statement and then it will stop. So you are interrupting the thread and allowing it to do the work. That is, I am not handling the exception that happens when the thread is interrupted. So when I don't handle that exception, so whatever thread comes in, whatever exception comes here, this is handled, and then your thread executes whatever it is supposed to do. So thread execution will complete. So you are interrupting the thread, you are stopping the thread from sleep, but you are not interrupting or you are not stopping the execution of the particular thread. So here you can see. So the sleep of the thread is interrupted, but you are not stopping the thread as it is. You are not stopping the execution of the thread. Instead, whatever the thread is supposed to execute, so it's a statement, right? Thread is running. So this statement gets executed. So you are stopping, that is, you are making the thread stop from the sleep. Okay, thread sleep is stop, sleep or wait, both can be interrupted. Then the normal execution of the particular thread begins. So sleep is only getting interrupted here. And this is the second example. And the third example is you are interrupting a thread which is not in sleep or wait. So what will happen? It will just execute whatever it is supposed to execute, and it will stop. Okay, so this doesn't make any sense. Instead, what the thing that will happen is your interrupt flag that you have will get set to true. So I'll just explain the code. Here you have a thread being created. You start the thread, so automatically run method gets invoked. You are interrupting the thread since you don't have any sleep or wait inside this run method. This thread will complete its execution, that it will print all the numbers from 1 to 5, then it will stop. It will set the interrupt flag to true, meaning that this thread was interrupted at some time. Since it doesn't have any wait or a sleep method, the nothing is interrupted. Okay, it just executes whatever it is supposed to execute. I'll run this. So you can see the output from 1 to 5. So if you want to check whether the thread is interrupted or not, then we have methods that help us to find out. So I'll just once again tell you how these threads can be interrupted. First one, the thread can be interrupted when it is in sleep or wait, and execution of the thread can be stopped. Second thing, you can interrupt a thread which is in sleep or you can continue the execution of the thread. And third one, you can interrupt a thread where the thread is neither sleeping nor it is in wait state, and you are just what to say, you're just setting the interrupt flag to true. That is the case here. So you have you have only two different ways to interrupt the thread. One is to interrupt your sleep or wait. So if you interrupt the sleep or wait, either you can stop the execution of the thread or you can complete the execution of the thread. So when you are interrupting a thread, when you don't have either sleep nor wait, then the thread will execute as usual, and the interrupt flag of that thread will get set to true. So this is what is regarding how to interrupt a thread. So next, these programs I have just explained you now. So next is interrupted and interrupted method. If so is interrupted method returns the interrupted flag, either it is true or false. Okay, whether it is being interrupted or not. So next is interrupt method that returns the interrupted flag. After that, it will set the flag to false if it was true. Meaning, so as I told you in the second case, if you interrupt a thread which is neither in sleep, neither in wait, then what happens? Your interrupted flag is set to true. To find whether your interrupted flag is set to true or false, you can use the method is interrupted. So is interrupted method will return what flag it is set. So if the flag is set to true, it will return true. If it is set to false, it will return false. The second method, interrupted method, it will also return the interrupted flag, okay, whether it is true or false. After it returns true or false, it will set the interrupted flag to false if it was true earlier. Okay, in this example which we saw now, here you don't have either sleep or you don't have wait. So when I give interrupt, program execution, that is will not stop. It will execute. That is, it showed all the outputs from 1 to 5, right? You saw all the values from 1 to 5. After it is done, after it is executed, it will set the interrupt flag to true. So when you are using the second method, interrupted method, this method will check the interrupt flag. So now it was true. true, right? Because we have interrupted the thread. So now this thread was interrupted and its flag is set to true. When you are using the second method, interrupted method, the flag value, whatever it is, it will be returned. If the flag value was set to true, then it will be reset to false. That is the difference between these two. First method is interrupted will return whether the flag is true or false. Okay. The second method, interrupted method, will return whatever is the flag value. After it is returning, it will reset the flag to false. Okay, if it was true, it will just reset the flag to false. After you call the interrupted method, the value of the flag will always be false. But if you call the isInterrupted method, the retain will retain the value of the interrupt flag. Clear? So this is the difference between isInterrupted and interrupted. Both will return the value of the interrupt flag. So isInterrupted will not reset the value of the flag, but interrupted method will reset the value of the flag to true. To false if it was true earlier. So I'll just explain this code. Okay, so this is the code that we have. So I'm having two threads. Okay, so thread 1 and thread 2. So thread 1 is starting its execution and it is interrupted. Then thread 2 is starting its execution. So what happens? T1 dot start. So it goes into the run state of the first thread. So I'm just printing the numbers from 1 to 2. That is 1 and 2. So if the thread is interrupted, so when it is in the start, when it is in execution, this thread is interrupted, right? Yes, it is interrupted where you don't have or wait method, the interrupt flag of the thread will be set to true. So now interrupted thread will check whether the flag is true or false, right? It will return whether the flag value. So if thread, that is your T1, first thread is interrupted. Yes, it is interrupted. So the value will be true. So it will just display code for interrupted thread. That statement will get executed. What happens when you use interrupted thread? It will reset the flag to false. So next time, okay, next time when this thread goes on, that is when I equal to 2, this thread flag will be false. So only once this code for interrupted thread will get executed. Even when the thread is executing two times, only for one single time you have interrupted the thread. Okay, suppose in this place if I had used is interrupted. Okay, if I had used is interrupted in this place, then for the second time also it will execute code for interrupted thread. So I hope you can understand what I'm saying. So this first thread is executing two times, right? For I equal to 1, for I equal to 2. When I equal to 1, you can see that the thread is interrupted. Okay, the thread is interrupted. So when it is interrupted, this will give you a true value. So when the thread is interrupted, it will display code for interrupted thread. So this statement will get executed. So when you use the interrupted method, it will reset the interrupt flag to false if it was true earlier. So next when I equal to 2, this whatever thread we have interrupted, the flag is set to false. So it will just execute whatever is given in the else part. So next, obviously, second thread, there is no interruption. So it will execute I equal to 1 and I equal to 2. That is, it will execute the else part because the thread is not interrupted. Second thread, it is not interrupted. Only the first thread is interrupted. It is interrupted, but still you are using the interrupted method so that it will reset the flag to false if it was true earlier. So this is your output. So it will execute code for interrupted thread once and the remaining code is the normal code. I hope it is clear. If you have any doubts, you can ask at the end of the session. So this is just about the threads, okay, in how to interrupt the thread and how to check whether the threads are interrupted or not. So next thing um, is re-entrant monitor in Java. So what is this re-entrant? So as I told you yesterday in inter-thread communication, when the thread enters into the critical section, that is your monitor, it will acquire the lock. Okay, it will acquire the lock of the shared resource that we have. But in Java, we have that shared resource that is nothing but your synchronized methods. So once it acquires lock for the shared resource, when you have an interrupt or when you have anything like wait or sleep, so it will go on into the wait state. So it will wait for a particular time. So then what happens? It will again retry to enter into the monitor. Likewise, if I try to that is, try to access a particular method, and I try to access a particular method that belongs to the same monitor. That is, I am only holding the lock, and I'm trying to access something else that is again inside in a shared resource. So what happens? I will have to wait for myself to release the lock. That is, I'm trying to have a deadlock situation. I am holding the resource and I'm waiting for the same resource that I hold. That is what is called as a deadlock situation. So this kind of a deadlock situation, when you are the owner of the resource and you are trying to re-access the resource again, then that is not considered as a deadlock. It is considered as re-entrant to the monitor. That is, whichever resource that I am holding on and I am trying to acquire lock for that particular resource again, then it becomes a deadlock situation. And since I am having the lock and I am trying to regain that lock, then you don't have any problem. So that was eliminated in Java with the help of the concept re-entrant monitor. So we will see the code for that. So this is your class. So this re-entrant class has got two methods. Okay, one is yum and another method is yen. So these are synchronized methods. So these are the shared resource. So next I have a class which is extended from the re-entrant class. Then I create an object for that particular class. That is, I'm creating object and then I'm starting the thread. So when I start the thread, I am just calling the run method. So when the run method, see this is what to say, this is a constructor, right? This is the way of, I hope you would have learned what is anonymous class in your first unit. So anonymous classes, the JVM itself will set which class the object should belong to. So this is the way of creating an anonymous class. So I'm just running the thread. So which function I'm calling here is yum. So yum function I'm calling. So this is my shared resource. So next in that I'm calling a function yen, which is again a shared resource, which is again a synchronized method. I am inside a synchronized method and I'm trying to access another synchronized method that also belongs to me, because both the things are belonging to this particular thread T1. So this thread has got access for M and has got access for N. I am holding the shared resource, I am holding the monitor, and I am trying to again re-enter into the monitor to hold the lock for N method. So when you do that, you will have a situation which is called as deadlock. So Java eliminates this deadlock. That is, you are having a resource and you are trying to again reacquire the lock for that resource. In that situation, you will have to you can eliminate that deadlock because Java provides feasibility such that this can be eliminated. So when you are owning the resource inside the monitor, then there is no problem. Suppose if there is a second thread which is trying to enter into the monitor, then it will have to wait until first thread completes its execution. So when same thread tries to enter the monitor again, then there is no problem because already I am holding the lock for that particular thread. So So you will not have any deadlock situation here. So the normal execution will happen. That is, your end method will first get called, it will execute, then your end method gets executed. So first n, then m, because inside m I'm calling the end method. So this method gets called and this statement gets executed. Then the return for the m, that's the control will return to the method m. So m gets executed. So this is for today. I hope it is clear. I'll just give a quick recap of what we saw today. So today we saw how to interrupt a thread. So what is interrupt? Interrupt is nothing but you are stopping the execution of the thread when it is in some situation like sleep or wait, where the thread is sleeping and waiting for a longer time. So how we do that with the help of interrupt method. So you can have two different ways in which you can interrupt a thread. So first one, you interrupt a thread that is in sleep or wait. Either you can stop the execution of the thread or you can continue the execution of thread by breaking the sleep or wait. You are just waking up, that is, you are just breaking the sleep and you are making the thread execute. So you can either stop the thread execution or you can continue the thread execution. That is one scenario. The second scenario is you can, that is, you are interrupting a thread where you don't have either a sleep or wait. So in that situation, your thread will execute and it will complete its execution. After that, it will set the interrupt flag to true. So this is what is about interrupting the thread. So how to check whether the thread is interrupted or not? So you have two methods, is interrupted and interrupted method. Is interrupted method will return whether the flag is, that is whether the interrupt is set or not, whether it is true or false. So if the flag is true or false, and it will reset the flag to false if it was true. So this is one scenario where you can check whether the thread is interrupted or not. And then we saw re-entrant thread. So re-entrant thread is the situation where the thread has got the control of the lock and still and again it wants to access the lock, that is, it wants to access the same resource. Since I have a lock, so I can access the resources that are inside the monitor. So that is not a problem in Java. If the second thread which doesn't have access for the shared resource, then it has to wait until the first thread completes its execution. So this is it. Do you have any doubt? If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Is everything clear today? How to interrupt a thread? Are you people still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it is clear.